And hello, welcome to this video. So the last video I showed you how actually I intended to load my XML files. I brute force loaded them in as a Visual Basic files. Okay, so where were we? So this is the IXmlLibLoader. You'll see it has its 5 branches: inputs, outputs, dependencies, implementation, and tests. Okay, this will be implemented by the dwSimXmlLibBruteForce class. Okay, and its dependencies will be in turn the IXmlData. Remember, IXmlData was just this very simple interface. And what does it do? It just let me show you. This is the IXmlData interface. It just has this property as XDocument, and it loads this XDocument there. Alright, and then last video I showed you how I brute force loaded everything, all this XML in using the class. This class will implement IXmlData, and this public property XDoc will implement the IXmlData document. It will inherit iDisposable so that in case you want, you can clean up the free up memory usage explicitly. Okay, it's probably not the correct way of using iDispose, but you know, it's close enough for me. Yeah, people might complain. Alright, maybe I'll change it later. Okay, but not now. It just empties this XDocument. Okay, it sets it to nothing so that it uses less memory. Okay, so you should delete this thing, then I guess delete everything else. I think it's always a good habit. Okay, the load XDocument thing will load all this XML into this XDocument, which is this XDocument property. And then, yeah, this XDocument property is something you can use in another class. Okay, what class do you use it in? I use it in the dwSim brute force library class. Oh, by the way, if you want to scroll to the left and right, just press shift and you scroll, and then you will be able to scroll left and right using the mouse. So that's something I found out later on. Okay, IXmlData is here. Yeah, it will be a dependency of this dwSim brute force class. Okay, brute force library loader class. So let's open this, and then let's take a look at how it works. Okay, IXmlLibLoader is the interface which I can also load up. Okay, this is the interface IXmlLibLoader, which I can load on the right hand side. Let's load the buffer, and I will load the dwSim brute force. This is the left side is what implements the right side. Okay, right side is this interface IXmlLibLoader. Inherits iDisposable, so you can dispose of things. Okay, there's 2 functions there. One is to get XmlDoc, one is to get XDocument. So I can return this XML file as an XDocument or XmlDocument. Okay, why? Because reason being, if you look inside the dwSim original source code, GitHub. Okay, if you look inside the dwSim source code, I will go to dwSim thermodynamics. dwSim thermodynamics, you go to databases.vb. Okay, XmlDocuments will be used here. This is their the normal way they like to use to deal with XML documents, right? So it's a slightly older format. The newer format will be, of course, XDocument, which is what we dealt with the last time. So I had code here to return both XmlDocuments and XDocuments. Alright, so how does this code work? Okay, first thing first, it's I do sort of a tight coupling ish. Okay, well, it's not really tight coupling, but over here I have a sort of a pseudo dependency injection. Okay, it's not quite dependency injection, but you can think of it as such. Alright, in the constructor here, public sub new, this is where I actually have my I choose which implementation of the dwSim component XmlData to load. Okay, Okay, why is this called dwSim XmlData? Okay, if you load up the buffer number 6, you'll notice that this class is actually called dwSimComponent XmlData. So actually, I think the right way to name this file is dwSimComponent XmlData, just so that it can avoid confusion. I might do that later on, but this is the brute force class that is being loaded in with all the XML data. Okay, so I'm making a new object here, and I'm loading it into the property which I have here. This is the classic dependency injection pattern, except I did not explicitly inject the dependency. Okay, the only place where I configure the dependency is inside the constructor, nowhere else. Okay, so that it's easy to use. So it's sort of tightly coupled, but anytime you want to swap things out, you just change this class here, and everything else in this document will change. So it is relatively speaking loosely coupled, because everywhere else I still use the interface to interact with this dwSimComponent XmlData object, so that if I change the type, I only have to change it in the constructor. I don't have to change it throughout the whole document. Or if I want to copy and paste, I can do pretty much the same thing. Right, so this is how I do this so-called dependency injection without really injecting dependencies in. Okay, dwSimComponent XmlData. Alright, and of course, if I really wanted to do dependency injection, I'll do it the classic way as well. Public sub new XmlData object as IXmlData. So this is the dependency injection if you really wanted to do dependencies. So there are two versions of constructor. One is that, yeah, you do that dependency injection. The other one is that you don't. Yeah, so this is what I do. Alright, so it's pretty straightforward. Once I have this thing here on the right hand side, you'll see that this part already returns the XDocument straight away. So if I wanted to load my XDocument from this class, very simple. Okay, the get XDocument will be implementing IXmlLibLoader get XDocument. Very simple. Okay. Well, simple if you are very familiar with this. Not so simple if you're not. So very sorry if you're not. You gotta go and do some reading up. I'm not going to do it for you. Okay, so let me B5 exclamation mark B. Wait, no. What am I looking for? Yes, IXmlLibLoader. So buffer 8 exclamation mark. Oh, buffer 8. Okay, ls undo ls buffer 8. Buffer 8. Okay, there you go. Here's the IXmlLibLoader. There are only two interfaces, two functions that I need to implement in this interface, besides the dispose function. Right, so okay, the XDocument here will be done as this XDocument. Okay, get XDocument. So this function here just implements this XDocument thing. And to load the XDocument is very simple. You just use the XDocument property, access the XDocument property within within this XmlData object, which we did all this dependency injection in. Okay, this XmlData object will be instantiated as well, this is we load the dependencies here. After that, we load the XmlData object, then we load the XDocument straight away. Okay, for XmlData, I actually copied it from the Stackoverflow, so I can actually copy the link address here. I'll paste it here. Okay, how to convert XDocument to XmlDocument and vice versa. So over here, I already just pretty much copy and pasted the code. Credit to Mark Coleman here. Looks like he's the one answering the question. Of course, I'll leave it in the description below. And this is how I just load the XDocument thing. I get the XDocument itself. I get the reader object. Okay, I create the reader object using the XDocument here. Okay, then I make a new XmlDocument variable, I instantiate it, and I load this XML reader object into this XmlDocument object. Okay, once that's done, I need to clean up the XML reader object, so I run the dispose thing just to clear the memory and make sure it's properly there are no like objects that are holding up memory, so we need to dispose of it. Then we return the XML document. So this is all that is here for this IXmlLibLoader. Okay, so what we have done is just load the XML file, but we do it in a very loosely coupled way, so that's why there's a lot of extra effort, so that it makes it easy to change later on when we come back, maybe months later. Okay, so this is the IXmlLibLoader, which is dependent on IXmlData. This IXmlData, I have not even done the dependency mind map properly here yet. Okay, IXML file path string was something I showed you the last video, but we are not going to use this. So we're just going to use this brute force class, which implements this IXmlLibLoader, and that will be fine. It will return us the XDocument and XmlDocument. Okay, once we have this XmlDocument and XDocument, what can we do? Right? We can then start running the tests here and start looking at what else we can use to do with this full XML file right here. Right? So ls buffer number buffer number 6. Okay, so yeah, we can see what else to do with this all this data right here. Okay, and then we can manipulate it, play around with it, and extract our ideal gas heat capacity data, vapor pressure, Gibbs energy of formation, enthalpy of formation, wow, entropy of formation, liquid molar volume, CS solubility parameter, soif release Kong translation, blah 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 blah, critical volume, pressure, and temperature. I don't even see units here. Great. I just have to assume they're Kelvin, I hope. Okay, so yeah. What are we what are we going to do next? Okay, so I assume you know how to navigate, or rather you know what's going on now with my IXml library loader. Okay, this IXmlLibLoader is very important because what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to return you the entire XDocument and XmlDocument. And what then do you do with IXmlLibLoader? Okay, remember what we wanted to do at the end of the day? We want a component list. Okay, before that, we want to do the tests first. Extract the name water using a fact test. Okay, so we'll try to do that first. Alright, so let's go over to our tests, and I'll show you what I already have. Okay, buffer number 4. Okay, and I'll switch this to terminal. Okay, so how do I do the water test? Right? So I already showed you how the XML data methods test works. So what about the water one? Okay, I'm just going to show you straight away what I've done over here. Here was the old part, and here is the completed version. Test XElement methods. It's a very ambiguous test name, but this is what it does. Okay. So okay. The question is, of course, how do you access these components, these names, and the strings within here? Okay, the formulas, the weights. Then you see there's a unifact here, group name equals to blah blah blah. I have number 1 element, name equals to blah blah blah, and then I have 4 element name equals C, you have 1, element H, you have 4. All of this data is locked in this XML file. How do we access it? Okay, the key thing is to use the elements, what do you call that? The elements, change to net standard. Yes, the elements method of this XContainer. XContainer is inherited by XDocument, so XDocument also has this elements class or elements method. It says it returns a collection of child elements of this element or document in document order. Alright, so this returns, let's see, okay, this returns IEnumerable. Okay, this is something familiar. If you deal with database before, IEnumerable is very familiar. It returns an IEnumerable of XElements, and then then this will be the what it returns. Okay, so what do we have here? We need to start dealing with elements. Alright, so let's go up. Over here, we need to declare this new object, XmlLibRuteForce. Okay, I'll just tell you how it works. So you see, I actually typed 3 objects. XmlLibRuteForce object as IXmlLibRuteForce, XDoc as XDocument, XmlDoc as XmlDocument. Okay, XmlLibRuteForce object. Okay, I load my dwSimXmlLibBruteForce class I showed you just now, and then I straight away load in the XDocument. Okay, XDocument equals to XmlLibRuteForce object get XDoc. Okay, very simple. Okay, but of course I explained all of this. You might want to try this out on your own, as I have over here. Alright, so yeah, the next thing to do, once you have this XDocument, what then can you do? Okay, for each element in XElement, XDocuments, console write line. Okay, this is the print function, console write line element. Okay, what does that give you? Okay, so you'll do a dotnet test, no worries. I will go 14. Yeah, left. Okay, insert comment. Dotnet test. Unit test. Okay, there are no tests that are being run here because I commented out all the fact things. 90k. Yeah. So yeah, once we have this XDocument, we can actually do a console write line for each element as XElement in document elements. So let's go up. I'm going to just load this test up. Okay, X, and then I will do 33 down, insert. Okay, I'll comment out this thing. Remember, we had this XElement list that we wanted to try. Alright, so first thing first. Okay, I'm just gonna copy and paste. Okay, no, new dwsim, what word, back, okay, visual, and I'll yank this thing out. 26, up. Okay, I will paste it here. Paste. Okay, go right, paste. And I go down, delete. XX, yes. Alright, so XmlLibLoader equals to new dwSimXmlLibBruteForce. Okay, XmlData equals XmlLibLoader get XDocument. Okay, dim XElement list as IEnumerable. You need to specify the type of it. IEnumerable of XElement. Okay, to use IEnumerable, You always have to make sure you have that system wow, system what was this? Okay, yeah, we need to make sure we have a system XML link or system generic collections. Where is that system generic collections? Yeah. System collection generic. This actually returns an IEnumerable type. Okay. System collection generic. Okay, why am I doing this? Is so that I can use this IEnumerable type. Though this is not strictly necessary if we just change this thing here to XElements, but it's still better to do that. Okay, let's see whether I have that same thing here. What did I use here? Yeah, I didn't even load it. I just used the XDocument straight away. I didn't load the system collection generic. But this is how you would do it. Okay, 22 up. Okay, XElement. Okay, dim XElement list as IEnumerable XElement. XElement list equals to XmlData. This XmlData, and then we use the elements data right here to load in all the XML elements. Okay, now we can run .NET test. Okay, look for line 40. It says end of a statement expected. Oh, right. This is C# syntax, not Visual Basic syntax. So let's look for Visual Basic. Visual Basic IEnumerable. Okay, okay, so this is the Visual Basic syntax, IEnumerable of something. Okay, IEnumerable of something. So this is how we are supposed to do it. Have to change this. Okay, of insert delete of XElement. There we go. Let's see whether this runs. Okay, now it's running properly. And take a look. It's basically written in everything here. So it says for each item XElement in XElement list, I will have to write the components. Okay. So I ran a for loop for each element here, and you see this entire thing is reproduced. If you want to see it in a bigger screen, here it is. cd unit test .NET test. So I've written every single thing here. So the simplest thing to do with the XElement is to print it. So this XElement list is a list of XElements in this XElement list. So yeah, this XElement list is actually this whole alright, what is an XElement? Pardon me, I have not even explained it. So if you see this thing called components, yeah, you see this thing called components, component, name, case number, all of these individual things are basically what we call XElements. Okay, right here, XElements. Yeah, so all of these things here, like the component, name, all of these things are XElements. Okay, so how do we deal with it? Okay, because you can see here these things are nested in each other. There are different levels. Like this is one level of it. The components is the root level or something, and then you keep going down and down. You have different things as well. Okay, how do you deal with this stuff? Okay, so to do it, you can see how many tabs I have open just to actually investigate this. Okay, and okay, we'll jump straight to it. How do we get water? How do we get to this this text here saying water? Okay, let's go for water. Okay, how do you get to this name thing here saying water, right? Okay, so yeah, how do you get to this water thing? Okay, first thing first, you got to know that X elements can be nested within each other. Okay, you see this we have this XML tree here, right here. This XML tree is an X element thing. For example, you have this root. Okay, you're making a new XML tree like this. You're making an XML like this. So the first X element here is root. Okay, so this is the first thing. Root is this X element. So this whole thing here is an X element by itself. But this X element, at the root level, it has 3 X elements nested within. So you see, new X element, this whole thing is an X element, which is basically this whole thing here. And within it are nested these X elements. Okay, so for example, of course here you will see this is the XML tree tool. Okay, it says here console write line XML tree tool. So this is XML tree 1, as you can see here. But what this code here is doing is just filtering out some results. Okay, so so you see this thing here is an X element, this thing here is an X element, this thing here is also an X element. Okay, you will see these two things they are put here. One is the name of the X element. For example, here this is child 3, and then you see the value here, which is number 3. Okay, so so this is the thing that you put in. Okay, the name of the X element is this thing called X name, which is this thing right here. And then the next thing you put in is the content, which is an object. Okay, an object can be, well, an object is basically anything. It could be a string, it could be integer, could be whatever you want it to be. Okay, so this is how so-called you will get X elements. So if you look at this X element and you want to access all the child nodes, these are called child nodes. Okay, what do? Okay, you run the same thing. You run the elements. Okay, you run the elements. Where is this? Yeah, you run the elements elements function on the X element. Okay, so let's show you X element. XElement class. XElement class. Where's the XElement class? Elements. Yes. See? Even within the X element, there will be an elements method that returns a collection of child elements in this element or document, in document order. So what happens to us when we do this? Okay, when we get the XML the element list. Okay, so 21 up. Okay, if I do this, I run the elements function on this X element list. That means I can run the elements function twice. I should be able to get a different list. Okay, so let's see what happens when we do this. Okay, this is just to show you how this thing actually behaves. Okay, all of a sudden, okay, hold on. Okay, all of a sudden you will see that the component thing here, yeah, the component thing will be here. You won't have the components anymore. You notice over here. You notice over here. We will have this components X element. This is the root. I mean there are lots of nested X elements here. This is the root one, which is called components, right? And no, and let's show you the normal one for comparison. Okay, you will notice that this components thing is here. But once I actually do this elements over here, okay, I will actually access the list of these components right here, component, and then you go on, so on and so forth. Okay, right, so what's the next thing we can do? Okay, yeah, for IEnumerables, you can actually I suppose you should be able to access okay, IEnumerable. Okay, you should be able to access things by the number. Okay, let's take a look at the methods. Oh, the methods here are just to get the enumerator. Okay. Okay, blah blah blah. Okay. Okay, forget that. Maybe I was mistaken. Okay. Yeah, but this XElement thing is you can actually use the for each function. So I guess the whole point of IEnumerable is for you to use the for each loop. Okay, so we are pretty much printing everything out. Okay. Okay, but let me then show you another thing. Okay, if I want, okay, the end goal is to access water, right? Okay, so you'll notice that water will be under the name thing, and you have to go yet another level in, right? You have to access the child nodes of these components. Okay, components here is XElement with all these child nodes over here, the child XElements. So you need to go in a few levels. Okay, so let's access the third level, and then you see what it looks like. You will notice that the component here won't be over there anymore. Okay, now I've actually gotten to the third level where we just talk about components. All right. Yeah. How about if we only want to print the names, a list of names of all the things down here? Okay, how do we do that? Okay, you look at what I did here. Okay, you'll notice I actually filter out things here. You can actually filter out the elements by using a string. Okay, so if I only want a string of names. Okay, if I only want a string of names, this is how you do it. Okay, look at this thing here. The name is over here. If I'm at this level of I'm at this level, the third level. Okay, this is level 1, this is level 2, this is level 3. So I'm already at the third level, so that's why I have elements. So this is the third level, and then I just want the name only. Okay, so let's look for this thing called name, and let's see what happens. Okay, now you will see, oh, I actually access this XElement. So this is the XElement with only the names inside. Can you see? If I want the cast number, for example, cast number, so I can change this over here from name to cast number. Okay, so it has to be the same thing as the thing over here. So you see, I have a cast number of everything right here. Okay, so that's how we can actually do this. Okay, we can even try this elements list inside the loop here, and then it will pretty much do the same thing. So if I want the filtering thing to be done over here, okay, if I want the filtering thing to be done over here, I can do it. Okay, so I do 2 levels out in the outer loop, and then I'll do the 3rd level here. Console.writeLine item.elements, and then I'll put the name, item.elements, I'll put the case number. Okay, and then you see we are getting pretty close, because once we get the name, we should be able to get the water thing, right? Okay, so what are we getting now? We are actually getting oops. Yeah, we are actually getting system XML XContainer get elements. This is actually a method. Probably not the right way to yeah. This right here is, this right over here is what do you call it? This is a method. So this is not a oh man. Yeah, this is not a variable, it's a method. So that's why you're getting this system XML XContainer get elements. This is a method. Alright, so not the right way. So what's the right way? The right way is to yeah. Yeah, I can just do this thing here. XElement X sub element list as I enumerable of X element, dim X sub element list 2 as I enumerable of X element. Okay, now then we can start printing out. Okay, so let's see. X sub element list equals to item dot elements name. X sub element list 2 equals item dot elements case number. Okay, and that's how we do it. And then I'll change the contents that we are writing in the brackets. Here, X sub element list, and then over here, change in brackets, X sub element list 2. Okay, let's try this. Oh, still the same thing. Okay, perhaps not the right way to go. Okay, but you do see here that using the elements thing will actually help us to get to the X elements. So let me undo a few lines. Yeah, undo a few lines. Yeah, then we'll get our case numbers again. Okay, let me just refer to what I did before, just to save some time. Okay, I kind of forget the things a little bit. Okay, so I can actually return the name thing out, the X element names. So let's look for the X element names. Change in here, name. Change in here, name. Okay, so I get all the I get a full list of names. Okay, this X element name has 2 properties that we can access in order to just get yeah, because we see here that it is still encapsulated within this name thing. If I just want the name itself, very simple. I can just access the X element. Okay, this X element has a name called has a property called value, dot value right here. Okay, I access the value property of X element, and then you see this is the value property within. Okay, if I access the name property, this is what will happen. CIW name. Okay, you see that the name of this X element thing will be this name here, right? This name here. Of course, this will be a bit confusing because all of these things are called name. Let's use the case number. Okay, you notice the name of this thing will be called case number, right? So this is the name of this X element. So I've actually showed you how to get a list of the components that are inside here, which is actually one of the key goals of the program we are trying to write. Yeah, we want a list of components. Okay, this is the list of components that we have right here. Okay, based on the library. So we already have a list of components here. See, this XElements list here is already the list of components. Gives us the list of components for this whole thing. All right. So yeah. That's part one of it. At least okay, we have a name that we can return and also we can return the value. Okay, so this is the name right here, and this is the value. Okay, name and value of the X element. Okay, CIW value. Okay, see. So the name, propanediol, name, methyl ethyl ketone, so on and so forth. So we can do it for any property we want. Molar weight, critical temperature, critical pressure. So we actually have a whole list of things. Okay. So now a little bit more difficult is to, okay, let's say I want the critical temperature of methane, and I just feed in the name, or rather, okay. Let's just do the test first for this IXmlLibLoader. Extract the name of water using effect test. Okay, so definitely we have already extracted the name of water after doing it so long. Okay, so this reference string is actually equals to water. Okay, let's extract the name of water now, right? So if let's use an if loop. As you can see, I use an if loop right here. Undo. Okay. If element.value equals to water, result string equals to element value. Else if element value equals to water with the sub letters, everything, result string equals to this. Of course, yeah, this is depending on the spelling of water, because I didn't know whether water will be capital letter or small letter. Okay, but regardless, if either of that is the case, I can actually load the element value, or in this case the item value, into this reference string. So to make it more accurate, let me do 13J word here. Change in this to XL. I want to make sure all of these things here are XElements. So you don't just call them items, right? I can actually just do a very simple if loop. If I'll just copy and paste what I've already written, so don't waste time, right? If element.value equals to water, then you load that value into the result string. Okay, let's go one more time. So this is the if loop that I'm loading. Okay, and here I'll change this to XL. If XElement.value equals to water, result string equals to XL.value. Okay, So what is this loop doing here? I'm cycling through every single X element here, and if this X element's value happens to be water, okay, if the value of this X element happens to be water, then I will load this X element value into the result string. Okay, or else if the X element value equals to water with no capital W, I will still load the same thing into the result string. So that's how I extract the value of water there. Then now once I can do this, I'll just test if this is equal. Okay, replace or X. I'll just do X there. Okay, I'll assert equal the reference string and the result string. Okay. Oh shucks. Terminal. Okay, dotnet test. Okay, so it's complaining the element is not declared. Okay, 11k. Okay, CIW XElement. Okay, so the test pass. So it's a bit of a long-winded test, but from here we actually learn, or at least sort of know how this whole X element thing actually works. Okay, and voila, we have completed this water fact test. Right, so that's it. Okay. Okay, so that's all. I think I've talked very long. It's almost an hour. Okay, it's 3/4 of an hour. So this is how we actually work with X elements. It's a very long-winded thing to do, especially if you're doing it first time, as I did. Figure it out, how, so to speak. So this is how I use X elements to extract the value of water right here. X element equals to water. Okay, then I return this X element value, which is a string, and I assert whether these two strings are equal. Okay, so this we have case number, formula, molecular weight, blah blah blah. Okay, so okay, next thing is to extract the boiling point of nitrogen, water, and benzene. So okay, that is something for the next video, but you can see that the boiling point, what's the boiling point? Normal boiling point here, 373.15. Okay, this is definitely in Kelvin. Okay, so this is in Kelvin. Right, so that's what we want to do next. We will use we'll set a reference string or reference thing as 373.15. We'll check whether these two things are equal. Of course, we also need to convert them to double as well. Okay, so I think that's all for this video. I think that's enough. Too much actually. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.